Ever feel like, I don't know, maybe your hands are like hiding secrets,
Secrets.
clues about who you are, or even past?
I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
Well, today we are going deep on this thing called digit ratios. How long your fingers are compared to each other.
Ah, digit ratio. I've heard of those.
And get this, they might be linked to dominance, even things like how many kids you have and sociosexuality.
Wow, that's a lot to unpack. Where are we getting all this from?
A BBC Internet study, actually. It's pretty wild. So to kick things off, can you tell us what exactly are digit ratios and why should we even care?
Sure. So the main ratio we're talking about here is the 2D.4D ratio.
2D.4D.
Right. It basically compares the length of your index finger, which is called 2D, to your ring finger, which is 4D.
So index finger versus ring fingers. Got it. But what's that got to do with like, all that other stuff we talked about?
Well, it all comes down to testosterone, and more specifically, how much testosterone you were exposed to while you were still in the womb. Higher levels can lead to a lower 2D.4D ratio, meaning your ring finger is longer compared to your index finger.
Hold on. So you're saying before we're even born, this finger length thing is already being influenced.
Exactly. And that's what makes it so fascinating. It suggests that prenatal hormones can have a lasting impact on our development and potentially even our behavior.
So that BBC study you mentioned, what did they find about all this?
Well, one of the interesting findings was a correlation between 2D.4D ratios and social dominance.
Wait, really? So people with longer ring fingers felt more dominant?
In a nutshell, they tended to report feeling more socially dominant.
How do we know it's really the testosterone and not just some random thing? Couldn't there be other things that influence both finger length and how dominant someone feels?
Absolutely. It's a great question. And you're right, correlation doesn't necessarily equal causation.
Right, right.
But here's the thing. There's actually a whole body of research that supports the link between testosterone and dominance. There have been similar patterns observed in animal studies, and we also know that testosterone plays a massive role in shaping our brains and bodies during development.
So we talk about like real biological stuff here, not just some hand-wavy theory.
Exactly, and that's why this research is so exciting. It's giving us a glimpse into how these very subtle early influences can shape who we are.
This is blowing my mind a little. So aside from feeling like the top dog, did this BBC study look at anything else?
Oh, yeah, for sure. They also looked at reproductive success, or more specifically, the number of children a person had fathered. And they found a correlation between a lower 2D.4D ratio, remember that means a longer ring finger, and having more kids.
Hello, longer rings finger equals more kids? Is that what you're saying?
Well, not exactly. It's important to remember that these are just statistical trends, and there are so many factors that go into how many children someone has. A ton. But the interesting part is why there might be a link.
Yeah, spell the T. Why?
Well, STEAM researchers think it could be tied back to testosterone's potential influence on things like sperm count,
Makes sense.
right? And even maybe behaviors that could lead to more, let's say, mating opportunities.
Whoa. So we're saying this finger length thing is maybe connected to how we ACT and our actual biology. That's wild. Is there even more to this study, or have we covered it all?
Oh, we're not done yet. There's another layer to this. They didn't just look at the 2D.4D ratio itself. They also studied something called finger length asymmetry.
Finger length, what now?
Asymmetry. Basically, it's the difference in length between the fingers on your right and left hand. And they found that greater asymmetry was linked to fathering more children, too.
Wait, my fingers aren't perfectly symmetrical. What does that even mean?
It's something called fluctuating asymmetry. And it's thought to reflect how well we dealt with stress during development, way back in the womb. Think of it like this. If you had a really smooth, easy development, your fingers are probably more symmetrical. But if things were a little rougher, you might see a bit more variation.
So even these tiny differences in our fingers could be telling a story about what happened before we were even born.
Exactly. It just shows how much of who we are is shaped by things we're not even aware of.
So much to think about. If I'm looking at someone's hands now, what should I even be paying attention to?
Well, it's important to remember that this is just one study, and digit ratios are just one small part of a much bigger picture. We can't just go around making judgments about people based on how long their fingers are.
Right, right. Of course, it's not like some magic trick.
Exactly.
But it definitely makes you think, who knew our hands could be so revealing?
It's pretty amazing, right?
Totally. Well, if you want to unlock more fascinating insights like this one, make sure to like and subscribe to the Unlock Your Mind podcast. We'll catch you next time for another deep dive.
See you then.